This is a design that would have immediately caught your eye. The diesel streamliner, built in 1936, that the Illinois Central used in its Green Diamond service. So, yeah, I think we can all agree that the railroads of the past had many remarkable designs, and, accompanying those bold lines, paint schemes that really popped. From Santa Fe's war bonnet to those Pensy pinstripes. And in the 21st century, modern railroads occasionally wow us with some of their work. But coming up, what happens when the general public tries to get in on the action? From straight up vandalism to the colorful paint jobs that are in a bit of a gray area. And you know we have to talk about the still unsolved mystery of 3 unofficial heritage units. All that and more is next. We'll start with a locomotive that received a fairly minor change to honor its former owner's lengthy heritage. Norfolk Southern's yard in Chamblee, Georgia. This was Southern Railway territory before NS was created, but number 1650 once belonged to Norfolk and Western. Undoubtedly, that's why someone decided to slap these letters on the nose of this EMD SD40-2. The unit was originally built by General Motors' Electromotive division back in 1974, and I shot this footage in March 2025. But the letters here on the nose appeared sometime around the summer of 2024 in Columbus, Georgia. It looks like whoever did this just spray painted over the nose and applied the N&W decals. The Norfolk Southern logo is still visible under the paint. It's a pretty simple tribute to the Norfolk and Western, but that's actually how their later engines were painted. As you can see, it was a very simple design. And, like the Southern Railway, Norfolk and Western ordered many of its units with high short hoods. Of course, the N&W was better known for its steam engines. You may be familiar with surviving locomotives like number 611 and number 1218. The railroad actually built many of its own steam engines at its shops in Roanoke, Virginia. And as a major coal hauler, the N&W needed big articulated locomotives like these. Norfolk and Western was actually nicknamed King Coal, but the railroad's official name traces back to 1881, and its predecessors were around well before that. Believe it or not, Norfolk and Western was the last Class I railroad running steam engines, finally retiring its last one in the early 1960s. It would ultimately combine with Southern Railway to form Norfolk Southern in 1982. And in 2012, to celebrate its 30th anniversary, NS painted 20 of its new locomotives in paint schemes honoring its predecessor railroads. That included number 8103, a GE ES44AC. It's painted in a dark blue livery with the so-called hamburger logo that Norfolk and Western locomotives would have worn from the mid-1960s to the early 1970s. Definitely a far cry from the rather bland design N&W units would wear up until the creation of Norfolk Southern. It's unclear who added those letters to the nose of that locomotive, and unfortunately, as of summer 2025, evidence of their work has been stripped off. Now, 2025 also saw some other Norfolk Southern engines get nose jobs. I haven't photographed any of these yet, but hopefully my mock-ups will give you a clear picture of what I'm talking about. NS number 1000 had its white stripes painted red and blue. Perhaps this was a tribute to America's upcoming 250th birthday? But in reality, many folks online think it looks like the French flag. Meanwhile, another Norfolk Southern engine, number 4364, had its nose spray painted pink. I have no idea what that was all about. And finally, Bigfoot took the place of the NS Thoroughbred on another unit. Okay, now on to something that also got a lot of people in the railfan community talking. 3 locomotives that mysteriously appeared in the same part of Georgia, partially covered in the colors of their former owners. Nope, your eyes are not playing tricks on you. That's a Chessie logo on the front of that CSX locomotive, and how it got there is a bit of a mystery. It's a very common sight if you're trackside. Lines of cars covered with graffiti. To be honest, sometimes you see stuff that's kind of creative and maybe a little weird. And while you see cars with graffiti on almost every train that passes, it's uncommon, at least where I live, to see tagged locomotives. I did see this explosion of pink one time. That's about it though. But no matter how colorful or creative the graffiti is, this is still considered vandalism. So what would you call this? The nose of this locomotive looks like it's been professionally painted in a scheme from one of CSX's predecessors, the Chessie System. I've been unable to find any official announcement from CSX that the railroad did this, so it would seem this was an unsanctioned paint job. I caught this engine doing some switching in Cartersville, Georgia on Saturday, August 12, 2023. The locomotive CSX 6914 was built in 1980 and it once worked for the Chessie System. Of course, the whole thing would have been painted in the vibrant colors you see on the nose. This photo from 1980 shows us what Chessie System locomotives looked like. Of course, some of these engines kept their Chessie paint even after CSX was created. None remain painted like this on the CSX roster in the 21st century. Well, aside from number 1973. CSX unveiled it in June of 2023. This promotional video shows the freshly painted unit at the company's facility in Waycross, Georgia. One major takeaway from the video is that the CSX employees who made this a reality take a lot of pride in what they do. Now, the Chessie was formed in 1973 when the Chesapeake in Ohio, Baltimore in Ohio, and Western Maryland merged. Look closely and you'll see that the mascot that forms the C is a cat. According to the Chesapeake and Ohio Historical Society, the C&O once ran ads for its passenger trains, promising riders would sleep like a kitten. The original image of what became known as Chessie the Cat was an etching done by artist Guido Grunwald. Okay, so if you don't know, the C in CSX stands for Chessie, while the S stands for Seaboard. The Chessie System and Seaboard Coastline Industries merged in 1980. Rail fans have been asking CSX for heritage units for a long time, but there have been complaints about the designs on the locomotives. Some folks don't like that the units aren't fully painted in the colors of the predecessor railroads. You can see the CSX paint scheme is still present on about a fourth of the engine, and a fade is used to transition between the two designs. Comparing this big GE to the Jeep in Cartersville, you can see the opposite has happened. Only the front of the locomotive has been painted. Now, from what I've been able to gather, this clandestine paint job was done around 30 miles west of Cartersville in Cedartown, Georgia. To my untrained eye, it looks like whoever did this did a pretty good job. It certainly appears to be professional work. Another Chessie nose job was attempted several years before. I can't confirm any of this, but apparently in 2020, someone applied the Chessie logo to this locomotive, which for some reason had nothing on the front of it. But the logo was quickly removed. Number 6900 was originally built for the Chesapeake in Ohio in 1980. Only a faint outline of the Chessie decal now remains. Alright, the next paint job you're going to see will probably be a little more tricky to get rid of. This one honors the RF&P. The Richmond, Fredericksburg, and Potomac Railroad had a system stretching a little more than 110 miles connecting Richmond, Virginia with Washington, D.C. It was what's called a bridge line and moved the traffic of larger railroads between those cities. Linking north and south. That was the company's slogan. The railroad would eventually be absorbed into CSX in 1991. And today, we find this locomotive outside a quarry in Rockmart, Georgia, a long way from its home rails in Virginia. Of course, the paint that now adorns its nose isn't actually supposed to be there. But it's hard to call it graffiti or an act of vandalism. To me, it looks like it was applied at the paint shop or at the factory. But so far, no one has taken credit for it. So one quick note here is that I wish I could have gotten this thing in better light, but sometimes you have to work with the conditions you're given. Now, I'm not a professional painter, but this looks like quality work, and what makes it even more special is the fact that this engine, CSX 6394, did once work for the RF&P. It's a GP40-2 built in 1972 by General Motors' Electromotive division. As far as I can tell, after a little online research, this is what the front of this locomotive would have looked like during the final days of the RF&P. Well, aside from a little artistic liberty taken with the CSX flare down here. Okay, time for a comparison. Here's an RF&P diesel leading some Chessie engines back in 1987. The logo on the nose matches what we see now on CSX 6394. Going back to 1969, these locomotives have a slightly different iteration of the RF&P logo, and there's no logo on the nose here. Believe it or not, we do have an old RF&P locomotive in Georgia, or at least I hope it's still around. I shot this footage on the Hartwell Railroad back in 2021. Its paint needs a little work. I wonder if there's anyone out there who could handle a job like this. Okay, I'm just kidding. Now, I shot this video on November 29th, 2023, and I think this engine was painted a few days before that, although I can't be 100% sure. CSX would ultimately reveal its heritage unit for the RF&P in February of 2024. Its road number 1836 pays tribute to when the historic railroad began operations. CSX shared these promotional photos of the unit when it was debuted. As you can see, they moved away from the fade technique between the CSX and Heritage colors. With CSX's Heritage repaint program in full swing, one more unofficial unit appeared in May of 2024. This old reliable machine is an EMD GP38-2 built in 1973. And, believe it or not, it did actually once belong to the Louisville and Nashville. Like the other engines that received Heritage colors, this looks like a professional paint job. Comparing CSX 2625 to this 1980 photo of another L&N Jeep, it looks like the artist matched the paint scheme pretty well. Of course, if you didn't know, this is not the first L&N Heritage unit. CSX revealed the official locomotive in August of 2023. This one was painted by the company in Waycross, Georgia. And looking back at its history, I would say the L&N is deserving of a Heritage unit, or two. In 1850, the Commonwealth of Kentucky chartered the railroad to be built between Louisville and Nashville. Like many major railroads of its time, it carried both freight and passengers. Amazingly, the railroad operated under the Louisville and Nashville name for 132 years. So after such a long history, what happened to the L&N? Well, it's a somewhat confusing tale of mergers, but here are the basics. In 1971, the L&N became a subsidiary of Seaboard Coastline. In 1982, SCL and the L&N merged, forming the Seaboard System. Shortly before that, in 1980, the Chessie System and Seaboard Coastline Industries merged, forming CSX Corporation. But CSX was just a railroad on paper until 1986, when the Seaboard System changed its name. A little bit more merging happened after that to form what we now call CSX. Fortunately, L&N history is still alive in the South. Impressive engineering, like the Hook and Eye line in Tennessee, which was once operated by the L&N, can still be enjoyed by tourists and motorcar enthusiasts. Many small and large railroad buildings also still remain. This one in Etowah, Tennessee, once housed a depot and division offices. It's now a museum. And outside is a classic bay window caboose. Meanwhile, in Nashville, cars are still being humped at the former L&N yard here, and Union Station still stands downtown. Now, apparently the artist or artists weren't quite done with number 2625. This L&N Jeep eventually received a few minor updates, an old reliable decal, and a 1CSX decal. I've also seen some other smaller tributes appear on CSX locomotives, like these Georgia Railroad stickers on another CSX Jeep. I spotted this in Georgia Railroad territory in Lithonia, Georgia. Also in Lithonia, someone anointed this as a Pride in Service unit. And I'm sure there are some others out there that I haven't seen yet. But this isn't just happening in the South. A BNSF engine also got some special treatment. This is a loaded coal train headed all the way from the Powder River Basin in Wyoming to Georgia Power's Plant Shear in Juliet, Georgia. In the lead, BNSF 9653. And this thing is still wearing a Burlington Northern logo? Okay, let's get a second look at that logo. This does not look like it was applied at the paint shop. That being said, this is the logo that would have been here when the engine was brand new in 1995. I think we can all agree that the Burlington Northern logo is iconic, and the company's locomotives and rolling stock had a distinctive and eye-catching look. According to Logopedia, and yeah, that's a thing, the BN logo was designed by Lippincott and Margulies in 1956, but it didn't appear until the BN merger in 1970. A brand strategy and design company, Lippincott as it's now known, has produced all kinds of well-known logos, including Amtrak's pointless arrow. Amtrak eventually moved on from that logo, but Burlington Northern stuck with theirs until the BNSF merger. It's definitely an interesting design. You can see the B is in green and the N occupies the negative space. Okay, so only Burlington Northern, EMD ST70 Max, and the company's executive train got this special paint scheme. Of course, this was a huge departure from the vibrant Cascade green that had adorned other BN equipment for years. According to a Trains.com article, that Cascade green was supposed to represent forests and the timber industry, basically BN's territory and its customers respectively. That iconic green is a little faded on this one, but there's no doubt it was a BN locomotive. It's currently still in service on the Alabama and Tennessee River Railway. I caught it here in Attala, Alabama in February of 2024. Believe it or not, this thing was built way back in 1979. There's no doubt, the EMD ST40-2 is a resilient machine. Meanwhile, the color worn by the more modern ST70 Max was nicknamed Grinstein Green after company CEO Jerry Grinstein. He managed Burlington Northern from 1985 to 1995. Following the merger of Burlington Northern and Santa Fe in 1995, these units began to receive new Santa Fe-inspired logos on their noses. Some would eventually receive the latest iteration of the BNSF logo featuring a swoosh under the letters, while others would be sold by BNSF to leasing companies. Now, pretty much every Class 1 railroad has done some form of heritage unit at this point. Arguably, the engines done by BNSF were pretty underwhelming. They simply feature predecessor logos and text honoring the company's 25th anniversary. It's unclear who added that BN logo to this unit, but at least from a distance, it certainly looks the part. Next, let's talk about some cases that can clearly be defined as vandalism. This Union Pacific engine ended up with a wild design on the side of its hood. This is typically where UP adds a large American flag. I caught this unit coming through Atlanta, Georgia in August 2025. And this ex-Union Pacific unit had graffiti all over its fuel tank. For some reason, most of the graffitied units I've seen belong to Union Pacific. But this Norfolk Southern locomotive also had some kind of encounter with a can of spray paint. Meanwhile, some locomotives end up with missing parts. Sometimes number boards are even stolen. And when these go missing, shop workers may resort to making their own. All right, switching gears here a little bit. You know, railroads aren't always able to totally cover up a locomotive's heritage. Under its Norfolk Southern paint, you can see this unit's Southern Railway lettering coming through. And this locomotive is obviously ex-BNSF and was acquired by Kansas City Southern at some point. Repairs can also change the look of a locomotive. This one ended up with mismatched doors on its hood. And this locomotive was involved in a pretty major grade crossing accident, forcing Norfolk Southern to make repairs to its front end. And, at least at the time of shooting this footage in 2023, they had not repainted it. And let's just call these unintentional heritage units. They belong to BNSF and have been dubbed fake bonnets. And although all BNSF locomotives technically incorporate aspects of the company's heritage, these are a little more special. Number 712 may say BNSF on the side, but the engine's paint scheme screams Santa Fe. It was among the last units to be painted in the war bonnet colors. Before merging with Burlington Northern, Santa Fe brought back this paint scheme as part of its Superfleet campaign, which began in 1989. This GE C44-9W was built in 1997, after the Santa Fe Burlington Northern merger. These are called fake bonnets by railfans since they aren't fully decked out in the former ATSF logos, although this one does have Santa Fe on the front. But many of the other engines, like number 742, ended up with BNSF lettering all over. And lastly, there are the locomotives that stay in their old paint schemes after mergers, acquisitions, or being acquired secondhand. So why have we seen so many unofficial heritage units and one-off spray can jobs in the last 5 years? Well, I can only speculate and give you my opinion. Only a handful of railroads operate most of the long-distance lines in the U.S., and things can get fairly monotonous. To me, the unofficial units I've just showed you, the Chessie, RF&P, L&N, N&W, and the BN, are simply honoring history. Plus, in the 21st century, the average person can just go online and find all the supplies they need to do pretty much any DIY project. Of course, it's not up to me to decide if creating these tribute units is right or wrong. I should mention that trespassing and vandalism are against the law. But regardless of all that, it certainly makes it an interesting time to be a rail fan. Anyway, that's it for now. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.